Hello. All right, so it's really dark and rainy out. I'm trying to make this be a little bit brighter. I don't know if this is going to work. Today is the day we're going to talk about booze and body fat. So I know that this is a hot topic for a lot of you, and I definitely want to dive into it. And real quick before we start though, you can see, I'm sorry the camera is backwards for me, you can see that is one of my vision boards I talked about the other day. I have some space here in the middle that needs filled up. But see this up here? That's a deposit slip with a really big number on it, and it says weekly deposit. So it's one of the things I'm aiming for. But you see my smiley teeth next to it. This is so weird being backwards. Debt free is up there. There's just some thank you notes from people, and that's a puppy. Don't worry, Tom. I'm not trying to get another one. I just like the picture. All right, so today we're going to talk about body fat and drinking. And this is a really big question for a lot of people because we're adults. We want to enjoy our life and be able to go out and have fun and mingle. Sometimes even work-related events involve alcohol. And we also want to either continue to work on losing body fat or we want to not gain body fat. So just a couple of little background things about alcohol. If you go to the store, most of the time, alcohol doesn't have a nutrition label on it. Sometimes they'll list the calories. Good morning, Laura and Laura. I got two Lauras on here with me this morning. Good morning, girls. So a lot of times alcohol won't actually list, there's not really a nutrition label on alcohol. Doesn't mean it's free. It just means it doesn't have a label. But a little bit of history for you. After Prohibition, the government actually stepped in and created the beverage industry because, again, they wanted, it was after Prohibition, they wanted to allow people to have drinks but yet control it. And so the beverage industry wasn't under the FDA. It wasn't under the Food and Drug Administration. And so nutrition labels on food weren't actually even required until 1990. Which is mind-blowing to me because I feel like they've always been around, but a lot of places, a lot of companies put nutritional labels on, but they weren't actually required until 1990. So that's required by the FDA, not the not the beverage industry. So that's why you don't see nutrition labels on alcohol. Now, there are challenges for nutrition labels on alcohol. For example, wine, each vintage is a different year, a different make. They would have to retest over and over. And if you think of small wineries that do small batches, if they were required to do testing on every single batch, it would really be super expensive, and your $20 bottle of wine would probably cost $40 in the end. So the beverage industry has definitely fought the request to have nutritional labels, and you can imagine there's a lot of money and power in the beverage industry. So I don't really look for that to happen anytime soon. But that's why you don't see nutrition labels on alcohol. It is not required because they are not actually covered under the FDA. They are in their own little industry. So I just thought that was interesting because a lot of people ask, why doesn't my beer have the full label on it? Sometimes they'll list the calorie content, but they won't list protein, fats, and carbs. So speaking of protein, fats, and carbs, there's a couple of things you need to know in general before we have this conversation. To lose and or maintain body fat, well, I'm sorry, scratch that. To lose body fat, the human body has to be in a caloric deficit. Now, I did not just say you have to starve yourself. No. I'm not talking about just losing weight. If you want to starve yourself and go lose weight, knock your socks off. You're going to lose a ton of muscle. You're going to feel horrible. Your body's not actually going to look any better. It'll just be smaller. That's when people lose weight. I'm talking about losing body fat. Hi, Dustin. Hi, Molly. So to lose body fat, you need to maintain a certain level of calories to feed your muscles, to fuel your body, to encourage your body to drop body fat, but yet you still need to be in a caloric deficit enough that you don't keep adding body fat or maintain it. So I have no way of telling you, the viewer today watching this, what your calories should be because I don't know how old you are, I don't know how much you currently weigh, I don't know what your activity level is, I don't know how tall you are, I know nothing about you. So when I use numbers today, These are general guideline numbers, and I've actually chosen these numbers because math can be hard sometimes, and if you pick easy numbers, it's a little bit better. So if you are curious as to what your caloric intake should be and what the breakdown of those calories should be as far as how much protein, fat, and carbs you should get, you should talk to a trainer or a nutritionist or a dietitian. They can help you with that. Hi, Sarah. So, all right. When you look at calories, we typically talk about how how much protein, fat, or carbs something has in it. Alcohol is in fact its own macro category, but you don't see that labeled on the back of a food label anywhere. So, nor do you see it, like if you're in MyFitnessPal or Spark People, there's no line to put in how much grams of alcohol you've had. It would make it a lot easier, but it's not there. So when it comes to tracking alcohol, and here's the thing, guys, if you are trying to change your body composition, if you are trying to drop body fat, you need to be tracking your intake of food. You need to know not just how many calories you're taking in. Calories are a part of the equation, but you need to know of those calories, how much of that is protein, how much of that is fat, how much of that is carbohydrates, because your body operates differently when those are in different percentages. You know, someone who's eating a super high protein diet is probably going to, you may not fall in this category, is probably going to lose body fat. However, somebody with a totally different metabolism might need a little bit more carbohydrates to lose that. So if you just say to me, I'm eating really good, I'm eating healthy, why am I not losing body fat? Well, I don't know. I don't know what's healthy to you. Are you eating fruit all day long? That's healthy. Yes, it's a fruit. It's got vitamins and minerals in it, but are you missing out on protein and are you missing out on fat? I don't know. So you can see that it's not a cut and dry answer for someone to lose body fat. There actually is science behind all of this, and I do encourage you, if that is your goal, to actually lose body fat and change the shape of your body, then you need to talk to someone who can do the math based on your information. Hi, Cassie. And then that way you can actually get the right numbers that you can aim for. If you are just out there willy-nilly saying, I'm aiming for 1,400 calories a day, that's good. And you may lose weight. Who knows? But I don't know if you're losing muscle or fat. I don't know based on that. So that's my spiel. Anyway, so alcohol falls in its own category. But we need to know how to track it so that we know where we're at with that category. Because like I said, in MyFitnessPal and such, there is no fill in the blank. So when you are taking in calories, so when you take in 1 gram of protein or 1 gram of a carbohydrate, so you 1 gram, like, a speck, that is 4 calories. 1 gram of protein and 1 gram of carbohydrates equals 4 calories. 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. This is the math that you need to know. So you're either going to take your alcohol and you're going to be dividing it by 4 to plug it in for your carbohydrates, or you're going to divide it by 9 to plug it in for your fat. You are not ever going to take, like, let's say I've said to you, and again, these aren't even real numbers. I would never say to someone have 1,000 calories. But let's say I said you need 1,000 calories during the day. Half of that needs to come from protein. 30% can come from carbs and 20 can come from fat. You would never, ever, ever take the 50% of protein that I just gave you and plug alcohol in for that. You cannot replace protein with alcohol in your numbers. Protein is protein is protein. So, let's say you have a beer. And again, this is easy math. That beer is 100 calories, right? And let's say that you've been allotted 100 grams of carbohydrates for the day. So I've said to you, you can have X amount of protein, X amount of fat, and 100 grams of carbohydrates for the day. And this is the plan that you're working on to change your body. So now we have 100 calorie beer, and we're going to try to plug that in. So we're going to take 100 divided by 4. That's going to give us 25. I am a math genius. That is going to be 25 grams of carbohydrates. So now of the 100 grams of carbohydrates you're allowed to have for the day, you now have 75 left because you've drank a beer that was 100 calories. Does that make sense? I need some people to respond. Are you following my math? Every single day you are to eat X amount of calories. From that, you're going to have so much protein, so much fat, so much carbs. You will not ever sub out your alcohol for protein. That's sacred. Protein. You can only sub out your fat or your carbohydrates. So you'll take the amount of calories that's in your beverage and you'll divide. It's too early for all this math. Deborah, I know. Girl, I have got notes to keep me on track because it's a lot of math. But you can rewatch this later when you're feeling a little more on the spot. So you can take alcohol, divide it by 4, plug it in for your carbohydrate allotment, or beer is good. Hi, Edie. Hey, you can still have beer and do this. You just have to know the math and how to handle it. So I'm going to actually give you some, and this is some math, but it's some things to think about because so many times people are like, well, I only had a couple cocktails. I only had a couple of beers. Okay, first of all, hi, Katie. When you, like, let's say you're reading the nutrition information on a bottle or a can of Bud Light. 12-ounce can of Bud Light, right? A 12-ounce can of Bud Light is 110 calories of alcohol, which means, like, I think even on Bud Light they list 6 grams of carbs. No, that's not right. You would take the 110 calories, you would divide that by 4, which means it's going to be 28 carbs, and you would plug that into MyFitnessPal as 28 carbohydrates. No fat, no protein, but 28 grams of carbohydrates. But back to that 12-ounce can. If you're popping the top yourself, you know you're drinking a 12-ounce can. If you are at a restaurant and you order a pint, that is 16 ounces. So you got to pay attention to that because slowly before you know it, let's say you have 2 glasses at dinner for draft and you've had now 32 ounces versus the 24, you can see how these calories are really starting to add up slowly, but they're going to make a big impact on your day. Red wine. I laugh at this because I know when I pour a glass of red wine, I should say I don't know when I pour a glass of red wine if it's 5 ounces. I don't know. I'm not measuring that. I'm just filling that cup up. But 5 ounces of red wine is about 120 calories, which means if you divide that by 4, you're going to get 30 carbohydrates. Now, you guys, think about it. 30 grams of carbs. Are you willing to eat a Snickers? Probably not. Why? Because it's so full of carbohydrates and it's so full of, you know, sugar and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, wine. Now I'm talking to people. I'm talking to the ladies. I'm talking about wine. So think about when you have that glass of wine, you can't also have that little Ghirardelli square chocolate that they love to serve with wine. I mean, you can have it, but you're making a big choice when you do that. So 5 ounces of red wine is 120 calories, which equates to 30 grams of carbohydrates if you're tracking your macros, which if you're trying to change your body shape and lose body fat, you need to be tracking your macros. All right, so 1 ounce of Grey Goose. That is a clear liquor, right? And you're going to hear a lot of stuff when you talk to people, some educated, some bro-educated. They're going to talk about, oh, drink clear liquor, you're fine. Drink all the clear liquor you want. Well, no. Clear liquor is lower in sugar, so you do have less macros to keep track of, but it is still alcohol. So 1 ounce of Grey Goose, that's a mini shot, right? Most mixed drinks, most cocktails that you order have 2 ounces, but the math here is on 1 ounce. 1 ounce of Grey Goose is about 70 calories, which equals about 18 carbs. So while that sounds really good, let's say that you ordered a mixed drink and it comes with 2 ounces, you're already up to 36 carbs, and that's just the Grey Goose that's in the drink. We're going to talk about that in a minute because, I mean, unless you're just shooting Grey Goose, which, you know, go girls, you're probably getting even more with your mixed cocktail. Now, to compare that to a dark liquor, and you're all going to laugh, but the information that I discovered, the best comparison is Jaeger. I know, right? Jaeger. That takes you back, doesn't it? So Jaeger is a darker liquor, which means it's got a little more molasses-y, sugary content to it. So 1 ounce of that, in comparison to the Grey Goose, 1 ounce of that is going to be about 104 calories, which is going to be 26 grams of carbs. So if you're tracking your alcohol, or you're tracking your food, your meals, your drinks for the day, and you're looking at, I'm going to go out tonight, and I know I want to have a drink, but I would also like to eat some food today, you're most likely going to go with a clear liquor, or you're going to go with 1 cocktail versus, you know, a couple of beers kind of thing. So some things to know, and this is not rocket science, but it may make you think for a second. Alcohol is toxic to the body. Your body registers it as a toxin, right? Your body will say, whoa, Nelly, we have just taken in this toxic, and I'm using that word loosely, but we've just taken this in as a toxin. We need to get it out. We need to metabolize this as quick as we possibly can. So let's say you're out for your Saturday night treat, right? You're going to have a beer. You're going to have a burger because it's your big night out, okay? So your body's like, whoa, yeah, I got some burger in me, but hey, I've got this beer in me. I got to get this beer out first. So this is a very general, non-scientific way of explaining this, but let's just say you got your beer here, you got your burger here. Your body's going to be like, whoa, we got to get this beer out. We're going to let the burger hang out. You don't want that burger hanging out because you know where that burger likes to hang out, ladies. On your hips. So you've got to remember when you bring in alcohol, not only are you having fun, your body is not having fun. Your body is getting stressed. Your body is going to have to go into overdrive. Your liver, your kidney, everything is like, woo, we got to clean this out. And you're going to keep consuming, this beverage. And I'm assuming most of you have gotten to the point where you've consumed too much at a time and things start to get blurry and foggy and you start giggling at stuff that's not even funny. That's when you take it to a whole other level. But from the second it enters your body, it's being treated as a toxin. So please remember that. For those of you that are truly prioritizing body fat loss and body composition, can you drink alcohol and still lose weight? Yes. It can be done. It takes a lot of effort. You've got to track it. You've got to prepare. You've got to plan. But if your priority is your health and changing your body shape, do yourself a favor on not only a caloric level, but on an internal stressor. Like I just talked yesterday about inflammation. It's things that irritate. Alcohol irritates the snot out of your body. If your top priority is your health, nix it. Just nix it for now. Don't even worry about it. Don't complicate it. I don't know. I'm going to get off my little high horse about that because, and you guys know, most of you know me on a personal level. I like to have a cocktail on the weekends. That's, hi Becca, we're talking about your topic that you asked for, so you'll have to go back and rewatch a lot of this. But so, you got to think about your priorities, obviously, if you're going to be tracking your macros. And if you want to incorporate alcohol and still change your body, you have got to keep track of it. There's no other way to do it. I can't come on here and say, oh, you can have 2 beers a week and you'll be fine. I don't know, because I don't know what you're eating in addition to that. And speaking of that, things to think about. When you start eating alcohol, when you start drinking alcohol, what situation are you in? For example, are you at a wine and cheese with the girls? Well, I've been to those. So while I'm drinking my carbohydrates in the form of wine, I'm also, there's crackers in front of me. There's usually grapes. There's usually chocolate. There's usually cheese. There's all these things that aren't that great. I'm sure you've heard it and you've maybe even said it. Oh my gosh, I need some carbohydrates to soak up this alcohol. No, you've already had your carbohydrates in the form of alcohol. Don't trick yourself into thinking that it's going to be okay, that it's going to somehow suck it up and take it right out of you. That's not how it works. The other thing, the day after or even later in that night, when you've had a few cocktails and suddenly your judgment is impaired, and don't tell me it's not, because I will take your keys away from you. After a cocktail or two, you're not thinking completely normal. You start making excuses. I've had a rough week. I think I'm going to go ahead and get those cheese fries. I think it'll be okay. They're going to taste so good with my beer, right? I've just had so much stress this week. I'm going to have this one glass of wine, which, by the way, I doubt you poured yourself 5 ounces. I'm going to guess it was a little bit more closer to 7. I'm going to have this one glass of wine and just a couple pieces of chocolate because I deserve it. I've worked so hard. So you see how you're having your dessert and your dessert. You're having your beer and your beer. You're just piling it all on. And then we all know, I'm assuming we all know that next day when you wake up and you've had too much, your head is pounding, your belly doesn't feel right. What is the thing that we all learned in college for some reason? Oh, we got to go to Mickey D's. We got to get something greasy to soak all that up. It's going to make us feel better. Again, bad choice. You've already consumed tons of calories. You've already consumed tons of extra calories that you probably weren't allotted for. So don't pile on the next day and add to that offense. Alcohol can be consumed. You can still keep track of your body, but that's the thing, you have to keep track of it. You have to make your decision to drink prior to drinking. So when you wake up Saturday morning, you most likely know if you're having dinner with friends or you're going to the movies or whatever, you most likely know what you're doing for the day, right? So if you already know I'm going out tonight, you really need to think about the choices in the food that you make during the day. I would say if I know for sure I'm going out Saturday night and I'm going to have a couple of cocktails, that means to me my Saturday day is very heavy on the protein side of things. Protein for breakfast, snack, lunch. I mean, the protein, which the protein sources that I tend to go towards also have fat in them, so my protein and fat is typically covered. And I really keep my carbohydrates low because I will make that difference up when I'm having a drink. Now, like I said earlier, we're talking about beer, wine, and liquor. Beer is pretty cut and dry. Beer is beer, right? I mean, yes, there's craft, there's the watery beer, there's the thick beer, all that stuff, but the calories from the beer are the calories from the beer. Wine. Calories from the wine are the calories from the wine. It's when you get into liquor, it's when you start getting into the mixers that you start bumping it up. When someone orders a Jack and Coke, they're basically ordering sugar and sugar, right? They're getting carbs and carbs. When someone orders a pina colada, you might as well take your butt to UDF and get yourself a milkshake for the night because you're ordering sugary sugar on top of sugar. So my tip for those of you that are going to try to incorporate drinking and losing body fat, you do want to stick with the clear liquors. You do want to ask for the mini 1 ounce shot, or you want to be aware of the fact that if you order a regular cocktail, it's most likely got 2 ounces in it, so you want to do the math right. But you want to order it with a 0-calorie mixer. Just even a vodka and cranberry. Cranberry juice is full of natural sugar, and some of those cranberry juice cocktails are cranberry, natural sugar, and then you add in your alcohol. So for example, one of the things that I have come to like, and I know this might sound weird, but I will go to a restaurant and order a unsweetened iced tea and a shot of vodka. And I just drink a little bit of the tea off the top, so I make room, pour it in, and mix it. That's a great mixed drink. I sip on it, and I have a 0-calorie mixer in there, so I don't have to worry about the additional calories. The other thing you want to remember, anything that you're drinking that has alcohol will dehydrate you. Because remember, it's a toxin, and so your body's going to be flushing. You know how much you pee while you're drinking? It's not just because you're drinking, it's because you're taking in alcohol and your body's trying to get it out. So stay hydrated. The more hydrated you stay, the better. So when I order a drink of any kind, I order an ice water to go with it. And I try to go back and forth between the two. I try not to just drink, and then drink a water and drink. Because if you try that, you're probably going to end up just drinking, and you're going to forget about your water. But if you go back and forth, you'll stay hydrated. The other thing is it will slow down your consumption. So if you only have enough calories and macros left over to have 1 or 2 drinks, and you're going to be out for the next 5 or 6 hours with your friends, you want to slow that process down. That's the other reason I like to pour it in an iced tea, because usually iced teas come in really big glasses and there's a lot of liquid in there to mix it with, so it lasts a lot, longer. Now here's the other thing, and I'm not going to be a mommy because, like I said, I like to go out too. I am going to say this though. If you are going out to purposely get drunk and you're going out to purposely tear it up and whoop, if that is your intention right now for the night, then don't even waste time watching this video, because your body, your health, it's not truly a priority for you. A lot of people say, well, I really like beer. It tastes really good. I really like it. It's yummy. Well, there's a lot of stuff you can drink that's yummy that tastes really good. That's not beer. So that's just an excuse. Recognize your excuses for what they are. Also, for those of you who might turn to a cocktail Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single night, you call it your nightcap. It's how you relax. It's how you chill out. You might want to think about a better way, a healthier way to learn to chill out. Maybe you need to go for a walk. Maybe start having a cup of hot tea. Maybe read a book. There are other ways to chill yourself out without constantly adding that to your body. I'm not talking about AA or anything like that. I'm just saying that is a daily dose of inflammation that you're providing to your body, and it's a daily dose of extra calories that you really don't need. You know, I know a lot of people watching this video would never drink a regular Coke, or they wouldn't even drink a lemonade, because why would you drink those empty calories? Well, this is the same thing with booze. The thing I do want you to remember, if you're tracking your macros and you're keeping track and you're like, okay, I'm allowed to have 100 grams of carbohydrates today, and like back to that first example of the 100-calorie beer, one beer that's 100 calories is 25 grams of carbs. So if you're like, I'm going to have myself 4 beers tonight, I'm not going to have any carbohydrates all day long, please remember, A, that's your choice. B, that's 100 grams of carbohydrates with no nutritional background. So you're not going to be getting any vitamins, minerals, fiber. You're not going to be getting any of the good stuff that your body needs. So if you start swapping out your macros all the time for alcohol, you will be nutritionally depriving your body of all the stuff that it needs to operate and function properly. But again, if you're choosing to take all your carbohydrates and use them for alcohol, you probably didn't even need to watch this video, because there's probably a different video you need to be watching. So anyway, I know it can get confusing, but let's just recap real quick. You're going to want to find out the calories of what you're drinking. Some beers do have the calories on there. Wine will not, and a lot of the liquor will not, but you can Google it and get estimated amounts. Red wine, 5 ounces, 120 calories. 1 ounce of a clear liquor like Grey Goose or Tito's, my favorite, is about 70. A dark liquor like Jaeger or like a Jack Daniels or something is going to be closer to 104 calories, so it's got a lot more sugar content to it. You want to take those calories, you're going to divide it by 4. That's going to tell you how many grams of carbohydrates it would count for. You can divide it by 9 and use it in your fat category, but I feel people do better if they just use it for the carbs. That's why that's one I've been repeating. You at no time will ever dip into your protein intake to substitute it with alcohol. If you do, you're not going to get the change that you're looking for. So, you know, not to sound silly, but I think it's, if you remember moderation and you remember priorities, and I will throw this out here really quick while I have your attention. I know peer pressure. I am 42 years old, and I still, to this day, know and understand peer pressure. There are times we go out with people, and I am exhausted, and I'm out of calories, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be drinking and doing these things, but, you know, they want to, and it's like, woo, you got to have a cocktail. Sometimes I make the wrong decision, and I start drinking, and then before you know it, I've had a couple too many. You can wink wink at the waiter or the bartender. You can order, like in my case, you can order iced tea and vodka. You can be like, leave out the vodka. You know, you don't have to do that. Soda, Sprite, you know, 7 and 7, that just looks like a Sprite. You can give them the wink wink and order your special 7 and 7. You know, a lot of you ladies that have hidden before being pregnant, go back to that mindset. If you don't want to drink, don't do it. Don't fall prey to the pressure of doing it. You're an adult. You don't have to. You can pretend if you need to. Or, I don't know, get better friends. I'm just kidding. I love my friends. So anyway, that's it. There's a lot of math. I'm sure you weren't ready for that, especially this early in the morning. I know I wasn't. But I'm going to go get my nephews this morning, and so I wanted to get on here and get this out. There's lots of YouTube videos out there with like graphs and stuff that will show you that math if you're interested. Just remember, anyone can make a YouTube video, so just because they made one doesn't always mean that it's accurate. I mean, I could be lying to you, but I'm not. So keep the 4 divided by 4 in your mind for the calories, for the carbohydrates. And like I said, this all goes back to knowing how many calories a day you should be taking in, what the breakdown of protein, fats, and carbs that should be. And I will say this really quickly for those of you that did get on MyFitnessPal and you are tracking it. I know when you put in your age and your weight and all that jazz, it gives you a calories to shoot for. I'm usually okay with that calorie amount, but I can tell you right now, The default that it takes you to on how much those calories should be of protein, fats, and carbs, I disagree with 110%. So that's something that you want to look at. I'll give you a hint. Up that protein significantly. But yeah, talk to someone, dietitian, nutrition, trainer. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't afford to talk to someone like that. It just takes one appointment, you know, and then maybe a follow-up every couple months or something. You don't have to like go 4 times a week. And hey, back to this, if you're buying 6-packs and you're buying mixed drinks at a restaurant, you can afford an appointment with someone. So, all right, anyway, so I'm on a tangent. I better get going. Have a fabulous weekend. I hope this was helpful. I know it was slightly confusing. I do get that. I will actually try to take a picture of my notes that I have here with the calories and the division and the Bud Light and all that jazz, and I'll put that in the comments so that you guys have a visual reference to go back to, because if you're like me, you need visual. But if you found this to be helpful, share it with your friends, especially the friends that you're going to be going out with this weekend, and let them know that you're taking it a little more serious, that alcohol is fun, but you're not in college anymore, so you're going to be more responsible with it. So, peace out, guys. Next week, we're going to talk about inflammation. Thanks. See you later.